Good evening, I'm Stone Phillips. Today we go to a Friendswood, Texas, where we meet local filmmaker Richard Ramsey. His latest film, The Oath of Desormeau, has been a big hit amongst the locals there, and today we ask him a little bit about how his whole film career got started.
Well, Richard, I appreciate the interview.
No problem.
I suppose my first question is, how did you decide to get into film as a career? Well, a youth minister in my church came up to me and asked me to be the head of their drama department for the youth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the projects we had to do was a spin-off of reality TV series, and we thought that the best way to do that was through film. Mm-hmm. And through that experience, I got to learn a little bit about shot composition and editing. And so every summer we would make a film with that group, and they'd go pretty well, you know. So one day I wondered what it would be like to do this with some professional actors, you know, and because I had a script that had some heavier material in it and wanted to try it out, and so that's how we did Washington's Cross, and that's how that whole film stuff got started. Sounds like you got a little bit of your roots for film from theater. Could you tell us a little bit how you got into that? Well, you know, I'd always, wanted to act in movies, or at least be involved with them. And so when I got to high school, there was an audition for a play, and so I figured, well, if I'm gonna try this out, now would probably be the time to do it. So I auditioned for the play, and I got cast. And the acting teacher, Miss Powdrell, she gave me lines that really weren't scripted, and so I just kept doing show after show there in high school, and eventually went to McLennan Community College, and then to the University of Houston, and then to the Alley. So yeah. How did you like doing some professional acting yourself? I liked it a lot. There's a lot you can learn no matter what role you have. And I learned a lot about directing from that.
Quite telling. But perhaps we would like to know what his life started out like.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood. Well, I was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I lived there for about two or 3 months, and then I moved to Tennessee. I moved to the Houston area when I was about 2. First to the Sagemont area, then when I was probably 4th grade, I moved to Friendswood. A unique childhood experience of mine was when I was 2 years old. I was playing in my parents' bedroom near the wall. It had a window, and I was playing with a toy train or something, and a car just crashed through the wall. Literally just crashed through. It just shoved me under the bed, buried me in this pile of debris. And even though a car basically hit me, and I was covered in all this, this debris and all this rubble and everything, I came out of that literally with only a scratch on my forehead and a scratch on my neck. That's it, And since then I've always felt like my life has been sort of divinely guided, if I can say that on national television.
So a nice film career, an interesting childhood, but he also has another occupation. What is it?
Right, recently you've become a teacher at your alma mater, Friendswood High School. What's that like? It's interesting, what can I say about working there? It's interesting to collaborate with the acting teacher, Miss Powdrell. She was my first acting teacher, and she was so influential in my style even to this day. So that's always cool. It's also interesting to work with some of the teachers that taught me. So yeah, there's always that. It's kind of weird though, because you can sort of sense this big, huge generation gap between the teachers and the students. And I fall somewhere in the middle. And so it's it's interesting. Recently you directed your first play at Friendswood High School, A Midsummer Night's Dream. How was that for you? It was really cool. You know, I really like Shakespeare a lot, you know, and I also try to use those techniques while directing for my film company too, you know, and so yeah. Yes. Well, you know, the reason I'm here for the interview is because of the immense success with your latest film, The Oath of Desormeau. Could you tell us how you sort of came up with that idea? Well, me and my wife, we originally wrote it as a one-act play for that group I mentioned earlier, the church group. Yeah. And it went pretty well, and I've always liked the story. But you know, it takes place in, you know, 19th century France, and so I thought, well, maybe when I get $50 million, I could turn it into a movie, you know, things like that. Little did I know that just 3 hours away there was a French chateau in Louisiana that was almost a perfect replica of French architecture for the 19th century. And so we talked to the owner, and he agreed to let us shoot there, and so that's sort of how the whole thing got started. Okay, all right. What was the whole experience like, shooting the film and such? How was that experience? Well, we shot in 8 days, which was a nightmare. We did that in the summer of 2005. We shot for 6 days, and next summer, to, you know, extend the plot a little, make it longer. We were trying to get it done in time for the San Antonio Independent Christian Film Festival, and you had to have your movie postmarked by August 1st. We found out that FedEx will postmark things until 8 o'clock at night. We literally handed over the tape to be postmarked at 7:40 on August 1st. You know, it was pretty close. And so we got into the festival, and we ended up winning the grand prize and the Audience Choice Award, you know. So, you know, it was pretty good to win with both the judges and the audience, you know. So yeah. Okay, all right. Well, it's been nice talking to you. I just have one more question for you, though. With the success of The Oath of Desormeau under your belt, what do you think might be your film company's next big project? Well, you know, I can't really. It's kind of. I can't really give details about it right now, but it could very well be. It's very interesting. Well, I appreciate the time you took out of your schedule to meet with us, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you in the future. No problem. No problem.
I'm sure we will indeed. I'm Stone Phillips. Good night.